On 5 News, Ryanair's Brexit bombshell. The company says all its new planes will be based outside the UK, accusing the government of behaving like headless chickens. Also, emptying his pockets. The Sports Direct owner flashes his 50s and lashes out at unions for the company's problems. Visit the doctor or go online. New NHS plans for booking appointments and ordering prescriptions. Rio gets ready for the opening ceremony of the Paralympic Games. And years to build, but seconds to blow. The tallest concrete structure to be demolished in Britain bites the dust. Hello and welcome to 5 News. I'm Sian Williams. Ryanair says it'll base all 50 of its new planes outside the UK because of Britain's decision to leave the EU. Chief Executive Michael O'Leary said politicians who are trying to organise Brexit were like headless chickens with no idea. Meanwhile, at Prime Minister's questions today, Theresa May was accused of waffle and creating huge uncertainty over the plans to quit. Here's our political editor, Andy Bell.
It may not have the best customer relations, but Ryanair is a great Irish, British, European success story. During the referendum, the former Chancellor, along with some old adversaries, warned a vote to leave could damage the company's presence here, and the flamboyant airline boss agreed. Now the company has announced none of its 50 new planes will be based in the UK, because nobody knows where Britain now fits into the European airline regulation.
It's a mess. And we look forward to seeing how the UK government works its way through that over the next couple of years, since it's clear they haven't a clue what they're looking for either.
So what is her plan for Brexit? Well, the Prime Minister faced MPs for the first time today since the summer break. Her answer? Just be patient.
As I said, this is about getting the kind of deal that is ambitious and bold for Britain. It's not about the Norway model or the Swiss model or any other country's model. It's about developing our own British model. So we will not take decisions until we are ready. We will not reveal our hand prematurely. And we will not provide a running commentary on every twist and turn of the negotiation.
Earlier, the leader of the SNP in the Commons had tried to push for just some detail.
Does she want the United Kingdom to remain fully part of the European single market? Yes or no?
Prime Minister.
The Right Honourable Gentleman doesn't seem to quite understand what the vote on the 23rd of June was about. The United Kingdom will leave the European Union and we will build a new relationship with the European Union. That new relationship will include control of the movement of people from the EU into the UK, and it will include the right deal for trade in goods and services.
For now, that's pretty much all we have. Like the rest of us, Parliament will have to wait for more.
Pretty much all we have. And that issue of the central market is crucial to what happens next, isn't it?
That's right, because everybody in France, in Germany and other EU countries is saying basically Britain cannot remain in the single European market if we also want to retain some sort of control over our own borders. That is the central trade-off, if you like, that everyone is discussing. Now, on Monday, David Davis, the new Secretary of State for Brexit, said in the House of Commons, he didn't say much, but one thing he did say was he thought it would be very improbable that Britain would remain a full member of the single market because Britain wanted to have some controls on its borders. Now, yesterday, the Prime Minister's official spokesman, Theresa May's spokeswoman, actually slapped him down and said he was wrong to say that that was not policy. And David Davis talking about something being probable or improbable was not government policy, and he shouldn't really have said it. So I think what is going on here is that Theresa May's team is trying to preserve for as long as possible the idea that we don't have to make a choice, that somehow we can keep negotiating and get the best of both worlds, if you like. But it has to be said, the general sentiment is, at some point, the crunch is going to come.
Andy, thank you. I suppose if you're a billionaire, then carrying a wad of £50 notes in your pockets might seem like loose change. But when you're Sports Direct's Mike Ashley visiting a warehouse where staff were paid less than the minimum wage and you're asked to empty your pockets as part of a security check, well, you can imagine it's rather embarrassing. It was not a good day for Mr. Ashley overall. At a shareholders' meeting, he was accused of Victorian working conditions at the company. Peter Lane was there.
An awkward moment for a company which admits in the past some staff didn't even get national minimum wage. Sports Direct founder, billionaire Mike Ashley empties his pockets on a photo op tour of the warehouse. Mobile phone footage showing he had a wad of £50 notes.
A lot of cash? Yes, I've been to the casino.
A joke about casinos, possibly not the best idea on the day Sports Direct said it had failed its workforce and was at a watershed moment. After months of criticism and with a plunging share price, Sports Direct has pledged to start moving away from 0-hours contracts to enhance working conditions and appoint someone from the shop floor to the executive board. Mike Ashley today defended his position.
I'm a man who gets some things very right and other things very wrong. I got the staff bonus very right for a few years, hundreds of millions, fantastic. I seem to have got the warehouse completely wrong, totally unacceptable. So what we've got to do is keep the positives and then focus on the negatives. It is as simple as that. And in the end, if I keep failing and keep failing and keep failing, it'll be best for everybody if I go.
Agency employees arriving at the warehouse today, foreign workers, were being offered English lessons by a staff union and told us things are improving. Have things got better? Is it getting better?
Yeah, everything for every month is better, so it's no problem for nobody.
Month by month, it's improving?
Yeah, month by month, yeah.
How long have you been here?
4 years.
4 years?
Yeah, at the moment it's very better than 3 years ago, yeah.
Today's AGM was sometimes heated. Many shareholders want company chairman Keith Hellawell to go, but he's vowed to stay put for 12 months while the company carries out its own review. Some at the AGM say that review should be done by outside eyes.
We appreciate that Sports Direct have said that they're going to do a 360-degree review. I'm not quite sure how independent that will be, but they're obviously taking it seriously.
It won't be fully independent.
No,
do you want it to be fully independent?
We would like it to be fully independent.
The man who launched this company still owns most of the shares and is in control, promising a better future for everyone here. Peter Lane, 5 News.
The next time you fall ill or need a prescription, instead of going to your GP, how do you feel about sorting it all out online? Well, that's what patients in England are being urged to do under new initiatives announced by the Health Secretary Jeremy Hunt today. The government says it's trying to ease the pressure on doctors and take the NHS into the digital age. But will it work? Layla Hayes has been finding out.
This is how it's always been. If you have a health problem, you go to the GP.
Hi there, I've got an appointment.
For a traditional face-to-face appointment.
Thanks very much. Hello.
But soon diagnosis could be on a smartphone or computer instead.
Come and have a seat.
The new NHS.UK website will mean instead of coming to a surgery like this, you can enter your symptoms online and receive tailored advice or a callback from a health professional.
The website will allow patients to book appointments online, access medical records and order prescriptions. Patients will also be able to search for which hospitals offer the best treatment in their area. The website is part of wider government plans to improve technology in the NHS, expected to cost more than £4 billion.
When you need medical help and advice, NHS 111 is just a phone call away.
The new website is an expansion of the current 111 non-emergency helpline. The government says a paperless NHS will make services more convenient. This GP has reservations.
The biggest worry really is the most needy population are those that don't have access to internet, either because they are elderly and frail or they don't wish to embrace technology. So I think that it's pandering to voters sometimes and not necessarily helping the most disadvantaged.
So will it work?
No, I'd 100% use it. I've used the 111 helpline before.
I'd rather see someone face to face. The thing is with phones and that, you can't never get through.
Yeah, I prefer the GP face to face, yeah. So I can express myself, I can tell the doctor what's my problem.
The new website could be ready by the end of the year. And the government hopes that if more of us go online, there could be less waiting time in the surgery. Layla Hayes, 5 News.
Still to come on the programme. Uniform row. The children turned away from school because of what they were wearing. And bringing down the house. Well, the chimney, the Kent landmark, gone forever. All that and more after the break. Welcome back. You're watching 5 News. New evidence showing the horror of life in Syria has emerged as a meeting takes place in London to try to find ways of ending 5.5 years of civil war. The meeting was hosted by ministers, including the Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson. He's called on Russia to remove its backing for Bashar al-Assad, while Syria's main opposition groups presented proposals for when Assad should quit. Well, in Syria, the war continues to cause terror, with claims of another atrocity carried out by Assad on his own people. Just a warning that Simon Weigar's report contains footage of children affected by the attack.
5 years on, and still no end in sight to the suffering of Syrians. It's believed these children in Aleppo were victims of a barrel bombing, barrels which contained chlorine. Water is used to wash it off the skin. This footage was filmed by rescue workers who operate in rebel-held areas. 80 people were treated, but there are no reports of deaths. Local people say these barrels are the proof their own government is trying to poison them. This man says many children are affected. This area is filled with civilians. There are no military barracks here. And this man says, where are the terrorists? These chickens suffocated from the chlorine. They weren't bombed, they suffocated. Since March 2011, more than 250,000 Syrians have been killed and more than 1 million injured. Currently, 6 million children are in need of humanitarian assistance, and in the past 5 years, almost 5 million Syrians have been forced to leave the country.
Just the transitional phase, which hasn't really even started yet, could be around 2 to 3 years. And then you've still got the whole process of rebuilding the country and redeveloping and restructuring the government. This is going to be a generational change that we're seeing over multiple years.
These rebel fighters are still trying to take the fight to the Assad government, but it's a government backed up by Russian military might, and there is absolutely no sign that they are even close to caving in.
Simon is at the Foreign Office now. And Simon, we're seeing that chaos in Syria. Meantime, meeting taking place, a foreign minister trying to sort something out. What's happening there and how significant do you think it is?
Well, they're trying to form a new government here, but that depends on Bashar al-Assad stepping down. It's a nice idea, but it's just an idea at the moment. There's no sign that he is going to step down. The various factions can't even agree on a ceasefire, let alone a new unity government. Of course, the Russians involved as well, and I haven't even mentioned so-called Islamic State yet. It was a mess 5 years ago. It's an even bigger mess now.
Simon, thank you. The government says work will begin very soon on a wall near the so-called jungle camp in Calais. Ministers have confirmed they're replacing the existing fence with a 4-metre-high, 1-kilometre-long wall paid for by the taxpayer. British hauliers say the money will be better spent on increasing security along Calais' roads. Now, while most children across Britain have gone back to school by now, some pupils at an academy in Kent still haven't made it through the gates after being turned away by their head teacher for not wearing the right clothes. The head at Hartsdown Academy in Margate says his strict rules on uniform are fair. Not all parents agree with him, though. Let's hear from Sam Naz, who's with me now. What's all the fuss about, Sam?
Well, Sean, the school's got a brand new head teacher, and back in July, he sent out letters to all the parents outlining exactly what the school uniform rules are. And anyone not adhering to those rules would be sent straight home, and he's done just that. Around 50 children were sent home yesterday, leading to some disturbances outside the gates. The school's police community services officer had to step in to try to diffuse that situation. But it didn't end there. Yet more children have been sent home again today. It's over things like trainers or skin-tight jeans. One parent says their child was sent home for having a buckle on their shoe. So it's all left some of the children upset and the parents very angry at the situation.
And what do the schools say?
Well, the head teacher, Matthew Tate, is standing by his decision. He says strict uniform rules lead to better behaviour and grades.
This school has not had a great time over the last few years, and some of the results and things have not been where they should be. I believe that children in this community and the children coming to this school deserve the very best education, and I care far too much to allow them to rule the roost, and so that they end up getting a poor education and not actually getting the results that they deserve and need.
So he's not backing down. He does also point out that teachers are expected to set the standard. So if any teacher turned up to work in trainers, they'd also be sent home.
Sam, thank you. Well, is that head teacher right? What do you think? On 5 News Tonight at 6:30, we'll have lots more on the issue, and we'll read out a selection of your comments too. So do head to our Facebook page to have your say. You just search for Channel 5 News. If you thought the Olympics and Team GB's amazing achievements were inspirational, just wait, because tonight in Rio, the opening ceremony of the Paralympics takes place, firing the starting gun on 12 days of spectacle. The Games have had a bit of a shaky build-up, but now Britain's best are ready to repeat their achievements of 2012. Here's Ruth Liptrot.
2012 was a game changer for the Paralympics, altering everyone's perception of what it means to be a disabled athlete. So in 2016, expectations are high, and we're hoping that stars like Ellie Simmonds, Johnny Peacock and David Weir will be able to recreate some of that magic. The Prime Minister had this message for the team.
This year in Rio, while you may not see those same British crowds around you, I want you to know that we will be there in spirit, watching on our televisions and willing you on all the way.
But even as the torch was lit, there were still concerns about how these games will play out. The build-up has been beset by difficulties, problems with underfunding, poor early ticket sales and allegations about some British athletes being wrongly classified. But now that they're here, these guys will have more important things to think about.
Well, our athletes might be almost on the starting blocks over in Rio, but this is where the whole Paralympic movement started, right here at Stoke Mandeville Stadium.
Bob O'Shea captained the wheelchair rugby team at Sydney in 2000 and still trains here at Stoke Mandeville. This is how he remembers that opening ceremony.
We came out through the tunnel and into the Olympic Stadium to be greeted by 108,000 people screaming and cheering, and it was just mind-blowing.
How do you think the athletes will be feeling about some of the stuff that's gone on in the run-up?
They'll either be training or preparing. When they're in the village, in the athletes' village, they'll just be focusing on the job they've got to do until they've done it.
Well, that's it. They've got bigger things to think about than ticket sales, haven't they?
By now, just being in the village, they'll be in the zone now.
So what advice would he pass on to them over the next couple of weeks?
Soak it up. It doesn't come around very often.
And when that opening ceremony starts, Bob will be watching and cheering them on. Ruth Liptrot, 5 News.
And good luck to them. Now for a generation, it dominated a skyline, a local landmark that could be seen for miles around. Today, in just moments, the chimney at Grain Power Station in Kent disappeared, the tallest concrete structure ever to be demolished in Britain. And it was tall, 244 metres or more than 800 feet tall, and it towered over some of our most famous landmarks. The highest building at Canary Wharf, for example, stands 9 metres smaller at 235 metres, while it was 2.5 times the size of Big Ben's Tower, which is less than 100 metres tall. And at 20 metres, the Angel of the North barely got past its base. Well, as Minnie Stevenson reports, there were some emotional moments as the chimney went up in smoke.
Wow. Wow. In seconds, gone. As the chimney at the Grain Power Station in Kent came tumbling down, so too did nearly 40 years of history. History, though, will remember this once giant as the tallest concrete structure to ever be demolished in Britain. In its heyday, the chimney site produced enough electricity to power over 1 million homes, but was closed in 2012 after becoming too expensive to run. Today, one of the former power station workers who pushed the demolition button was a little apprehensive ahead of the big moment.
It's going to be good to press the button and see it go, but I was involved in getting things done to it as well, so it's going to be the end of an era. It's going to be a big chunk off the landscape. So.
Built in 1979, its towering presence punctuated the Medway skyline for decades. People here told me when you saw the chimney in the sky, you knew you were home.
Well, emotional, I found it. I felt quite pride.
Really?
It's so sad to see the thing come down like that.
Emotional for me because I see it go up many years ago and see it come down, I was a bit tearful.
40,000 tonnes of concrete and many memories left behind. A skyline which will never look the same again. Minnie Stevenson, 5 News.
Now, at 6:30, there'll be more on that uniform row we were telling you about. Danny's here. Hi,
This
Danny.
certainly will, Sean, because I have been speaking to the head teacher who sparked a parents' mutiny by imposing strict rules on school uniform. And we'll be finding out what you think about that decision to send children home for things such as wearing trainers. Plus, celebrity parents, they're just like any other when it comes to sharing those back-to-school pictures of their kids. Wayne Rooney posted this photograph of his little boys on Twitter, but a new report says we're all posting too many pictures of our children. I'll be telling you the dangers of doing that at 6:30.
Oh, lovely. Thank you very much. See you later on. That is it for now. Sian Welby has the weather next. I'll see you again tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Goodbye for now.